evening, welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack, and I'm here with my two mates, Kev and Ashley. And we are going to talk about all things Champions League, AC Milan, and we're not going to talk about the weekend, because quite frankly, it was grim. And we just don't want to relive it, do we, Ashley?
No, I don't think we need to.
No. It's 90 minutes of my life, I'm not getting back, is it?
Yeah, well,
anyway,
it's done. We can move on.
How are we all anyway? We all happy?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, mate, to be honest.
It's nice to be back in the big cup, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's amazing how much you miss it when it's like, we ain't playing on Thursday nights now unless it's like Champions League, something like that. You know what I mean? There is something different about playing Tuesday and Wednesday night, to be fair.
Yeah. I must admit, though, this new Swiss system, I think it's growing on me, because look, we all know it was made for, this change was done for money. We all know that. That's why it was done. But I am sort of liking the fact of it's probably how the Champions League in Europe should be, which is it's pretty much jeopardy at every point. And it's going to take probably good 3 or 4 years for us all to plan. Like we all knew, old Champions League, gets 10 points, plan where you're going to get your 10 points, you're boxed. Now it's a bit of do you need 15 to get top 9? 18? What do you need just to get in the knockout rounds? So actually, every game now, you're going to have to, do something about it, which I actually think is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be difficult. That's the point of winning the competition. It's supposed to be difficult. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it does help that your first game's a bit of a stellar name, AC Milan. It's not the AC Milan of old, but, there's still some good players on that side. I mean, they've got half the ex-Chelsea squad, which could be anyone soon. But, I didn't realise how many ex-Chelsea players are at AC Milan.
Yeah, I mean, I went through their lineup there from last weekend. It's really good. I don't care what anyone says. That's a good Milan side. It probably will be. I don't think it'll be competing to win Serie A, but it'll probably be knocking about the top 2 or 3 by the time the season evens itself out a bit. I know they haven't had the best of starts. But when you actually look through that 11 that they put out at the weekend, and you look at the bench, there's a few players there that we wouldn't mind. There's a few players there that definitely improve us. No joke. I mean, this is far from a gimme. We're generally not great in the group stages away from home. We tend to make hard work of some of these games.
Yeah, but we don't play Napoli, so it's okay.
Mate, I'm telling you.
No, I mean, honestly, mate, we're jinxed with Napoli.
Well, Napoli, but this is not a Liverpool side that's free flowing. This is definitely the toughest game we'll play this season so far. This Milan side are better than anything we've faced so far, by a good stretch.
Yeah.
Not even close. I mean, we'll go through the players and the names and how I think they'll line up and what have you in a bit. But this is far from a gimme. Very far from a gimme.
But I think an Italian journalist on another podcast I was listening to, and his thing actually was they're surprised of how poorly they've done so far defensively because of who they bought. They actually were pretty well stocked defensively. Their frustration is their front 3. Plus Morata at the moment are still quite erratic, and I think that's what they're quite frustrated over. Is that there's not the consistency that they expected. You could argue we've probably got similar queries around our attack. It's not as consistent as we want. So I think this could be an interesting game. I do think, though, I agree with Kev. I don't think it's a gimme, but I think the way Milan play would suit Liverpool better than the way Forest will play. They're not going to play Forest and part of the bus. They are going to be more open, and I do think that will play to our advantage. But we've got to be very, very switched on because there's goals on that side and there's threats everywhere, especially down their left.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that first game back in the Champions League after being out for an entire year. I hope those players are energized. It sounded like Ali was really excited when he was interviewed in the pre-match press conference. And I hope that they all kind of approach this game with that kind of excitement and that kind of eagerness to really feel like they're back where they belong. And I think not to go back on the weekend, but what we saw was just a little bit of like an attitude issue. And I would hope to see that resolved tomorrow. So I do think it's going to be a challenge. I agree. It's probably the hardest test that we've faced so far, but I think this team is set up well to rise to those occasions. And I'm hoping that that's what will happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, this is the side that played at the weekend. Is the keeper's handy. They've got Theo Hernandez in the side. They've got your mate Fofana, Loftus-Cheek, Pulisic, Tammy Abrahams, Leao. So they're all dangerous players. But on the flip side, they are starting Emerson Royale, and we saw what he was like at Spurs. He's the ultimate. And as Graves would say, spot the dope.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you were Slot, you would be in my opinion, you'd start Diaz again and just run it in. Because every time Emerson Royale has played, he always gives a stupid free kick away. He's like to give a penalty away. He's like to get himself booked early. He's just got that in him. He's just one of those players. We all had the meal. Moreno was that for us. We all have. Yeah. Every club has a player where you go like, that's who you target. And if you're Liverpool, you would target him. And so I would say Diaz has to be a shoe-in to start because that's who you should target.
Oh, 100%. But I'm looking at their side. Obviously. Yeah, I'm looking at their projected 11 now, and my man in goal is France #1 now. He's one of the best keepers in the world for me. I think he's an outstanding keeper. Theo Hernandez is the best left back in the world, and I don't think there's any real argument about that. Their left side and our right side are probably both sides' strength, and whoever wins that battle on that side of the pitch probably determines who wins, because the way the projected lineup is Theo Hernandez, Reiner's in the middle with Leao on their left wing. How Trent deals with Leao, how Salah deals with Theo Hernandez, because Theo Hernandez won't sit. He will bomb on. He goes. And the double up that they're capable of doing on any fullback is as good as anything in the game. And they will put the frighteners up anybody. And the way
and they've got the athleticism of Loftus-Cheek to cover over Hernandez and also give them some pace and power and attack. So,
they're very good on that side.
It's a nice triangle they've got there, to be honest.
I agree with you on the other side, though. Emerson Royale on the right-hand side, if they play him at right back. I'd imagine Tomori will probably play at right centre-back because at least he's quick enough. The only other option they have on the right side really is Pulisic or Chukwueze. Chukwueze is really good, really quick, but I expect to see him off the bench. But Pulisic tends to have good games against us.
Good record,
Yeah, he's got a really good record against us. This is what I mean. They've got players in that side who can give us problems, but on the flip side, a couple of takeaways from Arne Slot's press conference when he talked about the rotation at the weekend wasn't the problem, and that's okay. That's fair enough. It made me worry that maybe he's not going to make as many changes as people think, and if he doesn't, then it means that Robertson, McAllister, and Diaz will be on our left-hand side, and those three could be a real danger to get at Emerson Royale. And you wouldn't surprise me to see Dominic Szoboszlai slip over to that left-hand side as well to maybe attack Milan down that side a lot more and keep the ball away from our strength and theirs. So, it's going to be a fascinating game because they're not, like you said, they're at home. San Siro is like one of the world's cathedrals when it comes to football. It's a fantastic stadium. They're not going to be, their fans won't allow them to sit in and park the bus. And anytime we've ever gone there before, it's always been a good game. We've gone there and won, but it's one of those games that you're definitely going to have to be on it. And we just hope that the discipline side of the game is there, the patience on the ball to keep possession, and the bravery to keep possession under pressure, and look for openings. I think if Milan come onto us, we'll be able to get at them. But it's going to be a fascinating game for sure.
The other challenge they've got, Ashley, is it's how full the stadium will be, which sounds odd for this sort of Champions League game. But from what I've read and heard, is there is a lot of discontent in Milan. Probably similar to how some people have felt about the Villa situation. Is they aren't happy with how they've priced these tickets for the games. They're almost saying they're pricing fans out of it. So they're actually not expecting a sellout for this because the same fans generally, not all the fans can afford to go, which is unusual. I think that's also contributed to some of the hostility that they're getting from their own fans to their own team because I don't think they actually quite like how things are being run. So the hope is if you can get an early goal, you actually can turn that to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think, the fans deserve to have a say in those kind of things. And if they feel the need to express their feelings like that, I think they're more than entitled to do that. Whether or not that plays to our advantage, I'm not sure. If it's a cauldron, it's a cauldron. If they're angry because of ticket prices, it's still angry fans. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. I think when Liverpool comes into town, it's probably, I would think that it would sell tickets, even if there are a select group of people that are unhappy. I'd imagine that it's not going to be empty. It's not going to be crickets. So I think it's just about rising to the occasion and just feeling like you're, like I said, back in the Champions League where you belong, and use that as fuel. Because, like they were saying, the San Siro could be gone soon. This could be the last time that you're there, and that to me is football heritage. So if you want to be playing in the big games, this is one of them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our record actually is not bad against AC Milan. We've played them 4 times in competitive games. We've won 3, lost 1. Sadly, the one we lost was a Champions League final. But I think we owed them. I think they owed us after 2005, and obviously we still have the Nat Phillips Cruyff turn back heel in the San Siro, which is still one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was such a pain-free game, but sadly, I don't think it'll be quite like that. We'll come back to starting 11s in a bit, but what do you now? We've had a little bit of time to think about. Look at it. How are we feeling about the group overall? So we've got Milan away now, then we've got Bologna at home, then we've got Leipzig away, Bayer Leverkusen at home, Madrid at home, and Girona away. And then in January, we have got Lille at home, and we finish PSV away.
I'll be honest. It's one of those things. It's 1 to 8, go straight through to the last 16. And then it's 9 to 24, go into a 2-game knockout phase in February. I think you need to be trying to do all you can to avoid that.
That's right before City too.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
that playoff game.
It's one of those. I agree with you, Chris, when you said this is how the Champions League should be. It should be difficult. It should be jeopardy all the way through it. But ultimately, it's 36 teams being whittled down to 24, being whittled down to 16. You would expect Liverpool to be at the very worst, to be one of the 24. You expect at the very least to be into the playoffs. But I'll be honest, looking at the group of fixtures, they're all winnable games, including the Madrid game, especially at home. They're all winnable games. I would hope that we, with the stars align and we get into the top 8 and we go straight through. We don't manage to balls it up somewhere along the line. Because usually when it comes to knockout group stages, we get through the groups.
But we don't do it easily.
We like a bit of jeopardy, though, Kev. We love a bit of jeopardy, though.
By the last 2 games, we're usually finding ways to make it difficult.
What you'd love to be in the situations where the last 2 games in January, you'd love to be where you want that to be the balancing act of almost you pretty much guaranteed the top bits, and it's like you always trying to work out the draw, but I think that's a long way down the line.
I think that's a way long way down the line. The thing is, I think there's something on every game, every week, and that's what you want to see. You want every game matters because it'll be a long time before this overall group really starts to take shape. It'll probably be by the third and fourth match week. You'll see the groups start, the table starting to take shape.
Yeah.
But in fairness, I think this is the toughest of the away games. And we've got probably the two best sides in it, apart from ourselves at home, in Bayer Leverkusen and Real Madrid. So, yeah, tough test, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you back us to beat almost anyone at home. But I think this, if we can get a positive result out of this one, get the league phase off to a positive start, and then just take it on to the next game, because it, as the weekend showed us, it is a delicate balancing act between playing well and getting a result, and throwing the baby out with the bathwater and contriving ways not to win a game. So I mean, we desperately need to get a positive result out of tomorrow night. A draw wouldn't be the end of the world, because, as I said, it is the most difficulty of the away games. But ideally, you want to be going away and getting a win there. You know, that would really lay a marker down for the rest of the sides who we have to play. They have to catch us. You know, you want to be in that kind of position. If you can get 3 on the bounce, 4 on the bounce, and you're then looked at, okay, they're one of the top 4 or 5 sides. Sides might look at playing you a different way. As it stands at the minute, sides are probably analysing Liverpool, and they don't know quite what to do, because it's still a hybrid of what Klopp used to have and what Slot is trying to bring in. So if you're trying to analyse how Liverpool are going to set up and how Liverpool are going to play, it's still a halfway house, because we're not really quite sure on what we're watching ourselves at the moment either. You know, we're still learning how the more games we're watching, we're starting to watch for patterns of play and seeing what we're seeing. And I'd imagine we're not an easy team to prepare for at the minute, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Kev's spot on, actually. I think Slot is even mentioned in his interviews, even the goals we've scored so far this season in the Premier League. He's made a point of the very transitional goals, which is sort of a hint. They're probably more from the Klopp era than probably what we think is an Arne Slot goal. I don't think we've probably seen what Arne Slot would class as one of his team goals, so it makes it more difficult to play against. But also, I think that's why there's some nervousness after the Forest losses. If we'd lost with Klopp, we kind of know how he reacts. We kind of know what he would do. We kind of know who he'd rotate. We're all in this thing. We've been in for 9 years, going, I don't know what he does when shit hits the fan and we have a bit of a shit game. But I don't actually know how he reacts.
Yeah,
which is good and bad, because we don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said in the last post match that this is Slot's first time that he's lost this year. So it's going to be how he reacts to that, but also how the players react to it, and are they going to be able to take on board the criticisms that he had? I mean, we know that he is one of these coaches that really likes to sit down with players individually and micro analyze like every little thing that they did wrong during a game. I'm sure there was a lot that they could have analyzed about this past weekend. So, you know, it'll be interesting.
It's a big PowerPoint presentation.
A very, very long PowerPoint presentation. So it'll be interesting to see, like, how do the players respond to that? How do they respond to that level of like micro criticism? How much can you realistically change in the 2 days plus travel time? And can the players just kind of get back on board with the Slot system, because they were all away, and you know, we know when players go away, they get a million different messages from all different international coaches, and it is hard to come back and kind of reapply yourself, especially when it's a new coach. And the more I looked at kind of clips from this weekend, the more it felt like we almost went into default from last season when things were going really bad with Klopp. Like, that's kind of how we were playing, with those missed passes and those like really frequent shots that were off target. I saw echoes of that this weekend, and I just want to see that completely nipped in the bud. I don't want to see that again. And I want the players to kind of get back on board with Slot, because he has a plan. It worked for the first 3 games. Can they get back on board with that? And can they stick with this, like, you know, pass them to death and have a little bit more patience? And that's hard to do when you're under pressure. So we'll see. That's what I'm curious about, at least.
Yeah, I think, Kev, I suppose we were all disappointed with Saturday, but it's trying not to throw the baby out of the bathwater and making too many sweeping assumptions of, that's it. There's no Klopp. That's it. We're going to be nowhere near. We're just going to be a top four side. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do it. We don't know yet. I think until you're 10 league games in, you kind of then know roughly where you are, where you're short, where you need to be. Because listen, we're all hoping 10 games in, we're slightly going, well, apart from that Forest loss, it's gone all right. That's what we're hoping. But you don't know that yet.
No, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm still trying to work out what his ideal was in 76 minutes. I don't.
The 3-2-5.
I think it's a 3-2-5, but it just wasn't executed properly at all.
It was shockingly shite. Let's be honest. But we'll see how it evolves in time. The good thing is at the minute now is the fact that you're going to be getting. There's a volume of games. He's going to have no choice but to use the squad. And the squad is there and it offers different things. Cody Gakpo, Darwin Núñez will offer you different ways of attacking as opposed to Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz. They're completely different players in their makeup. They offer different things. They always have had. It's a case of what's he going to do in midfield to keep it fresh and more people involved. The press conference where he was asked about Chiesa, it's like the Italian media were always going to be hyper interested in what we're doing with Chiesa and how he's going to be managed. Because look, at the end of the day, Chiesa is still a star boy for Italy. He is still one of the first names on an Italian team sheet for any international. So they're going to be desperate for him to get meaningful minutes. And he kept going back to the phrase, he can play anywhere across the front three. I've never seen Chiesa play in a 9. But I'm convinced that he could do it in the same way as Jota could do it.
I think he could even play one role deeper. I think he could come in for Szoboszlai.
But at times we saw in the first 3 games, because of how fluid Liverpool were playing, we've seen Diaz quite often becoming the central 9.
Yeah.
And Jota going to left. So he definitely wants that fluidity, which, to be honest, I'm all for because I think Liverpool
and work rate.
Had that fluidity, had that work rate.
Mm-hmm.
He was very clear Chiesa will get minutes. He was very clear he's not starting, which, to be honest, I would have been amazed if he'd started this game, having next to no pre-season. I'm still thinking the League Cup's going to be his first start because I think that's probably the sensible time to do it. But before we talk about our team, let's just talk about our partner. So we've got football prizes. They've still got their 2005 Champions League finals shirt up for a bid, which is all signed by the full squad. It's $2.95 a ticket. There's 999 tickets up. And the deadline for this is 7:30 tomorrow evening. So if you want a chance of winning a signed 2005 Liverpool Champions League shirt, give it a go. Couple of $2.95. And as you can see, scroll on the bottom, we've got our 2 charity partners. We've got the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, and we've got fan supporting food banks in Liverpool. The aim is to get to 10k, 5k for each charity. So again, if you can donate, please donate. If you can't donate, like it, share it. Kev is watching all your social medias. He's got all your ads. He's getting very grumpy because you're not doing it. He's gonna get even grumpier. Me and Ashley don't want to deal with grumpy Kev. So if you can also just do us all a favour and share that as well, that'll all be grand. Right, that's me admin done. Ashley, give me a number. How many changes do you think he would make to the squad? It's not 11, sorry. We know the squad.
I think maximum is going to be 4.
Oh, I didn't think have that.
I don't think it'll be that high, but I think that's probably the max.
Kev, I've got in my head 2. I could possibly stretch to 3, but I don't think much more than that. And also, genuinely, it wouldn't surprise me if you went, fuck it, go same 11 again, lads.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that either.
But let's talk about potential changes. So the 2 I've got in my head, although one of them now I'm debating after the press conference, was one in midfield, which I assume will probably be Curtis Jones coming in. My money was on probably Szoboszlai coming out because he was pretty poor, I thought, at the weekend. But Slot made a point out Szoboszlai saying, for an attacking midfielder, he basically needs to score more. I think he name checking a player that no one means they're probably playing.
Someone asked him a directed question about Szoboszlai.
Yeah,
so
there
wasn't
was
necessarily
there was a Hungarian
Hungarian
journalist. Yeah, there was a Hungarian journalist that asked the question.
Okay.
I mean, he basically confirmed McAllister is probably going to play again. I mean, he said that McAllister, despite the injury, would be good for 60 to 90 minutes again. So he was the one that I thought might have gotten a rest. Probably not him.
My money still is Jones in for Szoboszlai, which then gives you flexibility because you play Jones next to Gravenberch, or you play Jones as further up like he used to in the youth team, or you can move McAllister further up, which he could also do. So that does give you a little bit of predictability. I've got a sneaky feeling he's going to bench Jota, and I think it's a toss-up down between Gakpo and Nunes. I can make an argument for either. I don't, because I know Emerson Royale's playing for AC Milan, I can't see why you wouldn't start Diaz. And Salah always starts.
Yeah, Salah has a good record against Italian teams too. I think he has something like nine goals in 16 appearances or something like that. So I think he starts. I mean, for me, does Kwanzaa come in for Konate? I think Kev made a good point that Konate pairs well against what they have in their forward line. But he's one that I think you could quite easily swap and interchange. But I mean, I don't know. The more that Slot comes out and kind of backs this starting 11 thing, the more I second guess myself in terms of what he's going to do with rotation.
Yeah. Kev, it's an element of pretty much most of the time, not always, but generally what Klopp said in an interview post press conference was normally enough on the money. You know, they all lie, but generally you got a good idea of when players are going to play. Because Slot's new, could he also just be bullshitting everyone? Said, I'm never going to rotate. I don't really rotate. Which he maybe didn't find out, but I can't imagine he's that naive to go, yeah, but I want to keep playing the same 11. It could also be a little bit of Billy bullshit here, just to... Because he doesn't have to tell... He's made it very clear to the press, I don't have to tell you anything, and I won't if I don't need to.
If he plays the same 11 tomorrow, I'm going to get really worried. I'm going to get really worried. Because it's clear as day that how potentially long this season could be. And we know what the last third of the season is going to do. We've seen this play out so many times. I think Megan made the point in the chat, there's a real possibility that he goes with the same 11. There's a very real possibility. And I could understand it because, look, I still think the game to rotate was the Forest game. To me, it screamed out to make a couple of changes for the Forest game with one eye on this one. Because it's not as if you're bringing in poor players.
No.
And you had Nunes that didn't play at all over the break.
Yeah. And you had Gakpo that didn't travel, to the ends of the earth. I'd make two changes at least. I would probably look to, and people throw kitchen and everything at it. I would look to bring Endo in, mainly because you're away from home in Europe. I want a bit of stability in that central midfield pairing next to Gravenberch. I think, and I would replace Endo with McAllister for that purpose alone. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Gakpo started ahead of Jota. Because I think Gakpo offers a physicality. He's pace to run in behind. He's very good on the ball. And he can drift to either wing. And you could see Gakpo pulling over with Diaz to isolate Emerson Royale. And he could see him going the other way, dropping with Szoboszlai to almost make 2 10s and attack in that way, from the counter. But I think I would like to see the midfield stiffened right up. And the only reason I'd replace Endo with McAllister is purely I don't think McAllister looked right. I know Keith was saying last night that he thought McAllister played well. I thought he was a shadow of what he's capable of. and he just wasn't really at it from a defensive point of view and from an attacking point of view. Some of his passing was way off, and that would be the only one change that I'd make, and it's purely simply because of where you're going, the type of game you could be facing. But at the same time, if you wanted to play McAllister, play Jones, move Dominic Szoboszlai into a false nine if you wanted to, and drop him back into midfield. You never know. We just don't know what he's thinking. We have no clue.
No.
So at the minute, I can just say what I would do because I haven't got a notion what he's got.
I mean, the other one I've heard suggested on other pods, and I could see the logic of it. We just haven't seen done it. Is there was an Alex Ferguson thing of what do they call it? Periodization, where he'd almost flog certain players for a good two months. Berbatov was the example.
Yeah.
Berbatov starts the season, and he's played for about 3 or 4 months, and then it was generally like Ferguson hated him, and you never saw him for 3 months. And you don't wonder maybe Slot's going down that route of there are certain players he's picked, which is you're going to play this block, and then you're gone for a bit, and I've got somebody else lined up to in there. Whether that works is another matter, but that could also be a way of doing it. Unless maybe he targeted Forest and Milan as his 2 teams, and then he's going to start rotating. Then trust me, Scouser Pete, you don't see the WhatsApps we get. This is toned down. Trust me, the WhatsApps are hilarious. Kev doesn't do humor either when he's not in these movies. My gifts don't go down very well, do they, Kev?
I mean, the one thing with that argument in terms of like blocking or whatever you want to call it, is just I feel like there are so many players that are lacking rhythm right now, and he's committed to this kind of lack of rotation for the first month and a half of the season, and you've got players in that team that have like hardly any minutes in their legs, and I don't know how you expect to just drop them in to be a game changer like we needed on over the weekend. Like Nunes looked like he had no idea what was going on with the game. Same with Gakpo. Like, and they're both very good players. That's not necessarily because they're dumb or they don't understand the system. They just looked like they were completely out of rhythm. And like with Jones, I can understand because he's had an injury, but if you're not putting those players in and kind of keeping them fresh, at least, I don't know how they're expected to be dropped in games to make an impact. And I think that was something that, I've heard other podcasts make this argument as well, where, that's something that's a big learning curve for a lot of these elite coaches where, whether it was Pep or whether it was Klopp, like they all kind of had to come to terms with the fact that it was a squad game and that, like you can have a preferred 11 and that's fine, but you need to almost like cycle through those players that maybe one at a time you cycle one player into the starting, front line so that they stay fresh. And we haven't seen that from Slot. And that's what I'm worried about. Like, cause I don't see them just like coming in at the end of October and lighting the place on fire with absolutely nothing kind of to go off of.
Yeah, I mean, it could be how they utilise the 5 sub rule as well, which, to be fair, it took Klopp a good year or so to really get into his groove. Whereas, last season, he sort of really got his groove in that 5 subs for his rotation, but also impacting games. There is a skill to that, and that does take time in each league to sort of pick up. So there's also that element of it's a learning curve. I think someone said Pep Guardiola in his first season of Man City lost six league games, and to be honest, it wasn't a shit City side he took over.
No,
it just takes time for your message to get across. So maybe also we're allowed to, because we're fans, we all got a bit over giddy after 3 games, and maybe it's just going to be a little longer to transition than we thought. But or we could all have been really pessimistic after the Forest game, and it could all swing the other way.
I'm not there. I'm far from there. I mean, Sam's making the point here. Says rotation would really start now, and he's right. Under Klopp as well, it was the same. It was the first 3 or 4 games, and then when Europe started is when the rotation really kicked in, and it was 4 players, 5
regularly
every game on a regular, and it would be a case of right, you're starting this, then we might sub you off, and then you might play 90 1 week, and then give me a good 60 and then we'll take you off kind of thing. But, you know, it's the first time we've had 3 games, every 3 days after the international break. There couldn't be a rotation. As Slot said, he didn't have the players for 2 weeks. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But at the end of the day, this whole squad has been together for a good while now. You know, even the players that we brought in last season, they're into their second season. The players know each other. You know, the manager, needs to get up to speed with the fact that the players aren't strangers to each other and they don't need to have their hand held walking through games. He's got to start to learn to trust the squad that he has, that they can go out and do a job for him. Otherwise, all you're saying to the players who are on the bench, I mean, I'd hate to imagine what Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo must be thinking. Because they've done nothing wrong. They haven't been selected, which is fine. That happens. That's football. That's the game. But don't expect, like Ashley said there, and she's dead right, don't expect these guys to come in and change anything without having meaningful minutes in the legs. The only thing that Darwin Núñez has done so far this season is training. He's done nothing meaningful in games because the minutes that he's been given, he's been either playing out on the wing or coming on when the game was won. It was like the weekend, the game at the weekend, and even the game at the weekend. His average position for that substitute appearance was on the right wing.
Yeah.
I
mean, also, he's thrown on in a system 3-2-5, which I don't think we've ever played.
I don't think that helped any of them.
Yeah, crack on, lads.
I think a lot of the subs actually don't hold a ton of responsibility because of that system.
Yeah. I mean, if you were going to play 3-2-5, some of the lads he brought on probably wouldn't have been the ones you'd have brought on. No, but look, we are what we are. Ashley, pick me a starting lineup.
I mean, I think Ali plays in goal. I don't think that's
controversial.
Shocking.
That's controversial stuff.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think it's Trent. I think it's Virgil. I think it's Robertson. I think it's a flip of a coin between Konate and Kwanzaa. Whoever plays tomorrow, I think doesn't play this weekend. And then I think in the midfield, I think Gravenberch stays. I think McAllister stays based on the comments that he made in the press conference. I think maybe Jones could come in for Szoboszlai. But I mean, again, he doesn't have any rhythm, so I'm not really expecting the world from him. And then I think I'd probably do Diaz on the left, Núñez in the middle, and Salah on the right, if it was me.
Okay. Kev, would you make any changes to Ashley's team?
I said what I would do, but I think I would bring in Endo from McAllister, leave the back four as it is, and I would bring Cody Gakpo in instead of Jota. I think he will leave the back four and the midfield three the same. I think he'll play Gakpo, Darwin, and Salah up front.
Cool. I think I'll go with same back four. I think Kwanzaa gets Bournemouth and West Ham. That's my gut feeling. I agree with Ashley's midfield. I think Jones will come in for Szoboszlai just to freshen it up. And it's the 9 I can't decide on because I think he will rotate the 9. I just can't work out whether it be Gakpo or Jota. There's part of me, Gakpo or Núñez, sorry. I think he might go with Gakpo just because he's probably going to hold the ball better. But to be honest, Gakpo keeps saying he wants to play, or it looks like he plays better wide left. And then when we play wide left, he goes centre forward. So Christ knows, because he doesn't seem to stick to the vision we think he's going to. But give us a prediction for a score, Kev, then we'll have a bit of fun.
2-1 win. And I'll go with Gakpo and Salah score.
Ashley?
I just took my score.
I
think, you know what, I'm gonna try to back us into the clean sheet again and go 2-0.
Oh, he took my score now.
I think Salah scores, and then I don't know. I mean, I think Diaz has in that battle against Emerson. I think that could be juicy. I could see something coming in from that side. So yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Okay, so I can't do that. I'll go 3-1 Liverpool. I'll go
Three
Salah.
goals away.
Yeah, why not? Salah, Van Dijk,
What's your name,
Diaz,
Red Sea?
and Gomez will score an own goal because we'll bring him on for shits and giggles at left back and it'll all go wrong. And we'll get really annoyed over it. So I'll go with that.
O'Sheen put in a lineup here. He's gone with Alisson, Trent, Virgil, Kwanzaa, Robbo, Gravenberch, Maka, Jones, Salah, Darwin, Diaz. Be interested. That I wouldn't be opposed to that myself.
Yeah, there's a few combinations you can do. None of them are like horrendous. You're not looking at these lineups and going.
Well, that's it. It's not like you're. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I think the only gamble really would be bringing Endo in. But
or Tsimikas, if you put.
Don't do that to me. Oh, come on.
No, I'm sorry. Look, Tsimikas had a good preseason. He's played well every time he's come on.
Has he?
Yeah, he has. He has played well every time he's come on. Even when he's been lumped in at centre back, he's done all right. It's. I still wouldn't pick him over Robbo. I think Robbo has had a really good. He was. You look at Robertson's passing over the season so far has been really good, but against Nottingham Forest, it was virtually exceptional. He very rarely gave out of all of them. He was the only one really who didn't give the ball away at all. I think.
Would anyone put Joe Gomez in the back line? We haven't seen anything of him.
I would. I
think Klopp would have done.
Yeah.
But I think he'd have played more. I think he'd have got more minutes by now.
I don't think because
I just feel like Gomez is seen as a centre back now.
I think if you were looking at playing, if they had a Rafael Leao equivalent playing on the right, I could definitely make a case for Joe Gomez playing at left back. But the threat really is on that side with Theo Hernandez and Rafael Leao. Doubling up on Trent, looking for Tammy Abraham with cutbacks, and looking for Loftus-Cheek breaking into the box. That's their real threat, and it'll be a real live test for Gravenberch and his ability to read danger from their midfield runners. It's going to be a massive test.
After what Ashley just said, no, my luck. Slot will just go full freak out. Go Gomez right back, Tsimikas left back, the usual two centre back, and we'll stick Trent in midfield and just go and see what happens. I'll be like, oh.
I mean, you never know. Like that's kind
of
so.
You can't rule it out because you don't know if he'll do that.
On. Exactly. You have no idea what he's going to do.
I think that Joe Gomez would actually be used as the player to rotate Virgil. Because Joe is actually fairly comfortable playing as left centre back.
Well, that's what he was playing when Van Dijk did his knee. He was actually the annoying thing was
quite good for that.
He was settling really well into that, and then unfortunately his knee exploded.
His knee exactly.
Nowhere, which was unfortunate because he does look comfortable left-sided centre back. Whereas that's the benefit of him. He covers 3 or 4 positions.
Sorry, O'Sheen is with you, Chris. His eyes are bleeding now. The thought of Costas coming in at left back. I mean, look, the thing is,
I just think for your first big Champions League away game, I think you go with one left back. If you started Costas against Bournemouth at the weekend, I go, that makes sense because you rotated it. You probably got more of the ball. That will play to his strength. I just don't think this sort of game will play to his strength.
No, I mean the thing is, Robertson's first 90 minutes this season came for Scotland. And he played back-to-back 90s. He played 90. He played the vast majority of the game against Forest. And it wasn't the case that he played the game against Forest where he was hanging back. He was bombing up the wing to make himself be a second. He was making himself a second more than once. He ended up as a left striker at least half a dozen times in that first half, in that first hour. He kept finding himself in that position. So he covered some acreage in that game.
I've not seen him shoot though. I don't be rude. I love Anthony Robson, but he can't shoot.
He can't shoot. No, he can't. God bless him.
He's like a once in a blue moon. He's not as bad as Joe Gomez.
If you're gonna get,
he does
I sort of feel like
usually
if you
get
look on the
one.
fullbacks, you may as well tell Trent to do that because I'll be honest, I'd back Trent to score.
I would actually love to see Trent on the other side just to see how.
Shits and giggles, eh?
Just to see. I don't know. Not tomorrow, but in general.
Do you guys think that Chiesa will get minutes? Because he'll be on the bench. I'm convinced he'll be on the bench.
I think it's going well. Like it's a comfortable game. I think he will. I do wonder if we're chasing it though. He might throw him off a bit of a wild card because, to be honest, the Italian league he knows. That's where he made his name, and he knows how to expose.
I wouldn't be surprised if he came on in the last 15 to replace Salah.
I just hope it's not like a pre-programmed 60-minute sub again.
No. Oh no, I think that those are going to be. I think you're going to get those. I think the first batch of subs, unless he does something crazy at halftime, I think he looks fairly regimented in when he makes changes. He'll make them on the hour, he'll make them on 75, and then he'll use the last draw of subs to close the game out. And look, I don't think he's alone in that. I think most managers are going down that route now, where they might turn around to say Darwin Núñez or Luis Diaz if he starts. Right, give me empty the tank for the hour. Empty the tank, and on the hour we're going to take you off. Run at Emerson Royale, torture him, and then when we'll swap you out and we'll bring in Cody Gakpo or vice versa, and go and have some fun because your mate has already run the legs off it. I think you're going to get that with a few players, but I'm just looking forward to the game now. I mean, the thing is, you look through all the fixtures for week one. There's some cracking games this week, and it is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night.
You reckon my agenda? I was going to say.
I'm not wrecking your agenda. I'm pointing you along.
What are you looking for? What other games are you looking forward to? Honestly, just leave me alone. Ruining anything. I guess Ashley instead now. You've missed your chance. Ashley, what games are you looking forward to?
I need to look them up, so you can go back to Kev.
Listen, I've only just forgiven Ashley for when she announced to me, "Oh, yeah, don't forget, Champions League games are on Thursday." What? I thought we got in this Thursday night, bollocks. No.
I mean,
they're back on Thursday.
I think
you're full of good news at the moment.
Tomorrow, I think beyond us, the pick is probably Juventus PSV, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see how Villa set up in the Champions League. That'll be interesting. Let's see.
City and Milan tomorrow, isn't it? So it's repeat of the Champions League final.
Well,
that'll be an interesting game.
Quarter to six kickoff. Sparta Prague against RB Salzburg.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
So, and that's a standard. There's 3 games at quarter to 6. Sorry, 2 games at quarter to 6 and 4 at 8 o'clock kickoff. I mean, you got Celtic against Bratislava, Club Brugge against Dortmund, Man City against Inter, PSG against Girona. Yeah, I think Man City against Inter would be good.
Thursday, I think Atalanta Arsenal, that looks really good.
Because we know Atalanta away is no bag of laughs. Atalanta in general are no bag of laughs. They
also just I feel like they know how to play Premier League opposition.
Yeah.
In a way that the other teams, I don't know, he's very savvy with the way that he sets his teams up.
Yeah, and Atletico Madrid against RB Leipzig could also be quite an interesting game.
No.
But I think I'd watch the Arsenal game.
I'd watch Arsenal mainly because Atletico Madrid will bore you to tears. I mean, they're just an awful.
You don't want to see Gallagher at his new home?
I'd rather. No, I'm not saying it where I'm
just kidding.
No, Monaco against Barcelona could be interesting though. Monaco are after.
Barca got about 4 or 5 out injured, haven't they?
Yeah.
Like De Jong, Olmo, they've got quite a few attacking players out. So
yeah, but the thing is with I'm just having a quick look there. If you give me a second. Monaco are after spending some cash. And you've got Embolo playing up front. You've got Golovin, who's been around for a while. Zakaria, Kerr that was at West Ham. They've got some decent players. And, the attacking Minamino is still there. Teze, the centre back that we were kind of linked with at the weekend. And by all accounts, I think it's Marseille are looking to sign Rabiot.
Yeah,
Because he's still available on a free. But
keep his crazy,
I mean,
keep his crazy mother away from us, which is all right.
if you were going to pick a winner for this season's Champions League now, who would you be hanging your hat on? Apart from
Real
us, 'cause I
Madrid.
think we've got a live chat.
Let's get Real Madrid.
It's gotta be Madrid.
The Borat's Real
You know.
Madrid.
And then
They
I
just
think
own
you
the
probably go
competition.
down to City, which is another boring answer.
Outside
know.
shot. If you're looking at an
I
outside
haven't
shot,
watched enough of Barcelona, but I feel like they're gelling in an interesting way.
I think Hansi Flick is starting to get a tune out of that club.
Yeah, it's like it's just interesting. I don't know. I mean, Arsenal would argue that they should be in that chat. I don't know if I believe it, but they would argue that.
I think what Arsenal have, which probably helps tournament football, the way I would say, I know because of the weekend, this doesn't prove this. Probably all people will agree with, but I think if you chase the game where you need a goal, I feel Liverpool and City have the squads to chase goals and push for goals if they need it. I do think of the English side, if you have to hold on to a 1-0 win, I feel Arsenal are best equipped.
Yeah,
to get 1-0 win, and that sort of setup tends to do well in European knockout football.
I mean, they're so defensively solid. Like, it pains me to admit it, but they are so defensively solid.
It's just if they've got enough goals in the crunch moments, which is what let them down last year. They scored plenty of goals. It's in the crunch moments. And as Oshin rightly pointed out before, Thursday night, then they got City on Sunday, whereas City play Wednesday and have the extra night. So, swings and roundabouts. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Who has the harder game? Arsenal, Atalanta, or City, Inter?
Arsenal, because they got to travel. And Atalanta will be relentless, you know that. So, City, I think, will win comfortably enough. It's just a case with City. How are they going to manage Erling Haaland throughout the season? They're going to have to manage him some way, shape, or form. I mean, the guy's a freak. You can't say I can't say that about him anymore. He's not a freak. He's arguably the best number 9 I've seen since. I mean, he's the best number 9 in world football, and he's unique.
Do you think he would do nearly as well in any other team, though? Because I feel like Pep has that, like, absolutely fine-tuned to his strengths.
I think he would.
I wonder.
I think he'd work in like a Madrid side and things like that. But I think he would play for Real Madrid. I think he'd score goals for fun there. The way they'd set up.
He shits all over Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe is not a number 9, and I will argue this to the nth degree. Kylian Mbappe is not a striker, and he never will be a striker as long as he's playing football. He is not a good striker. He's very good on the wing. He is arguably the best left winger in the game. Him and Vinicius. It's just so happens they play on the same side. But I wouldn't swap. I wouldn't have Kylian Mbappe anywhere near Liverpool to play in the night. I just don't rate him. I don't think he's got the intelligence to play as a number 9. I think he's brilliant when he's... No, but I think he's brilliant when he's running with the ball.
His skill set is on the wing.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant when he's coming inside looking for space. You put him in the middle as a 9 with his back to goal against a tight back 4, I think he can be marked out of games very... And you've seen it at international level when France have tried to play him down the middle. So much so now that, I mean, France kept Olivier Giroud around as long as humanly possible to not have Kylian Mbappe playing through the middle. And
I think you blunt him there.
Yeah, France were a much better side with Kylian Mbappe on the left wing and Olivier Giroud through the middle than they are with Barcola and Kylian Mbappe through the middle.
He scored 2 goals in the World Cup final playing wide.
Yeah, I think he's the best wide forward in world football at the minute. He's better than Salah when he's playing as a wide forward.
I mean, he's younger than Salah by a
distance. But I know. I just think he's faster. I think his finishing is really good when he's coming in from the wing. I think he's almost impossible to stop when he's running at players.
Whereas I think Haaland is physically built for being a bit of a battle ram sometimes. He's got clever movement, don't get that, but he's fine mixing it up with big grok centre halves, and he doesn't mind it.
Yeah.
I mean,
but the other thing,
his movement,
Haaland's
movement is underrated.
Yeah, the one thing I say, you look at Haaland and you look at the pace and he's getting towards. I think if he stays in the Premier League, depending on the court case and everything that's going on with City, if he stays in the Premier League, he will fly past Alan Shearer's record. He will break every record, every goal scoring record in the Premier League, and he will not just break them; he will shatter them. He will put the goal scoring records of this league to such a high bar that I don't see anyone getting close. If I see someone getting anywhere near close to Erling Haaland's scoring prowess again, I hope to be around to see it, because I've never seen anyone score at the rate that he scores and the lust that he has for scoring. He loves it and he absolutely lives for it, and he's getting better.
And he's not being asked to do anything else.
He's physically developed now. He's physically looks stronger than he did this time last year as well. He looks fully rested. You can tell a mile away that Norway didn't qualify for a tournament. He's had a full summer at home in the farm, relaxing and resting, and he's come back bigger, stronger, faster. I mean, as much as I hate the club he's playing for, I can't help but like the kid. Even everything that he comes across with, he just seems like a nice guy. He just seems like a nice kid, and he just looks like he lusts for goals. And I wish we had him. He's one of the few players out there you'd do anything to have a player like him. He's just there's not many players out there that are anywhere near his level. Not in the game at the minute.
So between you two, you depressed me. One's got Simicast stars, and the other one's telling me how great Haaland is, and he's going to break Alan Shearer's record.
I was going to say, I'm feeling a little icky right now with all the celebrating of City's.
Where's Matt when you need him? God save us.
He's making his man cave or his man basement. Or whatever it is. He looks like he has an elite space to develop down there. He's going to have something amazing going on down there.
I'll tell you, we should get Mrs. Matt on these shows, because she was well better. She's much better at quizzes. I know that for a start. So, right, before we go, any other delights we wanted to discuss? Kev's thinking about something.
Nah, I'm just looking forward to the week, because it is. I mean, I haven't even looked at the Europa League games, the conference games. I genuinely, hand on heart,
they're next week, aren't they?
I don't think they're this week.
Yeah, but I haven't a notion who's in it. I haven't a Scooby. I haven't a clue. But it's
we're not in it, which is great.
No, but it's 3 nights of back in Champions League football.
What I do like about Europa League now and the conference now is same with the Champions League is once you're out, you're out. None of it's dropping down a level, so you kind of know if you're going to win the ones who are in it. I quite like that.
The worst case scenario is you have to be one of the 24 to get to the playoffs. But if you lose the playoffs, your European journey is over in mid-February, and that's it. Done, dusted.
Which, to be honest,
concentrate on the league, and that's right. That's good.
It should be, because you should be rewarded for you were shit in the bigger competition. So don't worry, you get another shot at another competition. I think you're out, you're out.
I mean, it was always done for TV revenue. At the end of the day, you get the bigger clubs drop down to give the Europa League or the Conference League kudos, so that you might have a big club who isn't having the best season in the world coming onto a semi-final or maybe getting into a final. This time, the Europa League, Conference League are standalone competitions in their own right. They're not going to get any clubs coming down, and the winners of them get into the Champions League for next year. So it'll be interesting to see how they play. I'm going to have a closer look over the week and see actually who's in it and see if there's any games worth watching and worth sending out for. But yeah, at the end of the day, there's 3 nights of proper football to be had this week. And there's some good games in all 3 nights.
And then we're back, and then Premier League's back on Saturday, and the WSL season starts on Sunday. I hope it's
That's
better than the
exciting.
friendly I went. I hope it's better than the friendly I went to because honestly, the Everton game wasn't great. The stadium was
No.
good. The new stadium was nice actually. The setup.
Did
was
you
good.
Everton are
find,
good.
you were looking for a bar outside. Did you find a nice pub to go before the game?
Oh, it's got. They've got a bar built into it, so I was
there
sorted.
you go.
So all good. So that was all good. No, the setup of the new stadium was good actually. It was a good test event, so you know you could get a feel for it. So no,
And in fairness,
Sure.
Everton women or Everton ladies is a good side. You know, so it's not good. They're not going to be a gimme.
no,
Tie.
it was
They're
it was
actually a
competitive.
good side to be playing at for your last pre-season.
Yeah, we've got Leicester at home, who are physical side. So knocked us out with
good game to start with.
They knocked us out in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So a little bit of revenge there would be quite nice. So yeah, should be good for the opening game. So fingers crossed. That's a busy weekend for me. Hopefully it's better than last weekend because last weekend.
Are
was
you going
horrendous.
to the game?
Yeah. So last weekend for me, just to put it into context, my daughter's team got battered in football, although she got girl in the game. Liverpool got beat by bloody Nottingham Forest, and the women drew 0-0. So all in all, my week, and then all the opposition teams I don't like: United, City, Chelsea,
Except
all.
Everton.
Everton said
Couldn't even enjoy an Everton loss because I can't enjoy Everton loss if we don't win. So I'm a bit like, all in all, it was a rubbish weekend. So I'm kind of hoping this weekend's better.
Well, this week's gonna get better. Start tomorrow night.
I like the optimism.
So. Fingers crossed. We're Saturday at the end of this week going 2
Well,
wins
we'll
for
be
the
back
men,
tomorrow
1 win for the
night
women,
anyway.
and we'll all be happy.
Tomorrow night we're good doing the experiment, aren't we? With the we're doing the post-match show after the Milan game, and we're going to do that for 45 minutes, and then after that we're going to have a call-in show for the members, if they with their reaction to how the game went. Yeah.
Oh, I love when we're doing admin on there.
Don't tell me. I'm only passing on what Gav said last night. So
yeah, I have no idea how this is going to work, but I mean, it sounds like it's a good plan.
I haven't a clue.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
We'll be great.
So call in if you're watching.
That could have been good.
It makes a big difference when people actually do call in now.
You could have kept that to yourself and then just say, right, Chris, it's call in show, and I'll be like, oh wait, what? This could be fun.
Right.
It'll still
Let's go.
Cool.
Come on, 5 past 11.
On my happy note, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Keep your eye out for the women's shows. And all in all, look forward to chatting to us tomorrow when hopefully we'll talk about a Liverpool win. Fingers crossed. Till then, see you later.